So lots of the material, you find it by searching for it. We've already talked about that. So you can go to Creative Commons' website. It's a bit hot. I just realised, I apologise. But we're nearly done. Go to Creative Commons website, next to the license button, we've got our search button. Hurrah! And they have our own little search engine. So if you want a photo, you can search Flickr for remix. And we want stuff that we can use commercially because we're not sure if our competition is commercial. And we want to be able to change it because we're going to, do cool things with it. Get rid of the frame because they're annoying. And lo and behold, we have how many things? 2,000 different photos on Flickr, all under a license that lets us change things and use it commercially. This is all attribution-only stuff, basically. Oh, actually, some of it might be share-alike. We look at this one, which is one I've seen previously. I cannot lie. And, it's a collage. This guy had basically found this original photo, which is actually also a collage, in this project, the Conform project, which is all about remixing. And then he used these other 5 photos. I won't go. Because all the photos were under CC. And he put his photo out under CC. And you get these great chains developing of people who are remixing each other's works and stuff. And it's a great thing to show your kids. Like, it's a really good, simple thing that they can do and they can understand.
Does all... Sorry, I have a lot of questions. Do all art products, like I know when I studied art in high school, we did appropriation of things, so like appropriation of popular media or pictures of Barbie from theaters, and we could use them because they're appropriation?
No. You can...
Not?
Yeah, not even slightly. You can appropriate things that are out of copyright, obviously. Basically, the rules are no different at all. This is what I was saying about parody. You can do jokes, but you can't do serious artworks and stuff like that. You can do them in the classroom, not a problem, because once again, that's classroom use.
We were told we could do it in general, so we just...
Ba-bow.
But it's like, Andy Warhol and his Brillo boxes, for example.
Yeah, it's all completely illegal, and it's sad. But I mean, most people do ignore it. There's a massive amount of illegal art out there. There's actually a great exhibition a few years ago that was it was called Illegal Art, and it had all this great stuff people using Disney characters in sexual positions and things like that, and they got their asses sued off the exhibit, but it was all about pretty much. You can criticism and review. Sorry, so you can the times when you can use it is parody. Parody doesn't actually have to be that funny. It can be mainly kind of critical. Parody and satire both are allowed under Australian law, so you can do that. You can do criticism and review. So if you're criticising somebody else's work in your work, then yeah, that's allowed. If it's for research and study, so if it's part of your course, you're allowed to do that, but it's a bit unclear what you can do with it after that. Like, you probably can't put it up on a website, but you can probably create a painting. That's okay. So if it's research and study, that's probably okay. So actually, research and study would let you do a lot of just solid artworks that you're just going to put in a gallery and display.
So then to use your Disney example, like you said, criticism in review, can that also be like an artwork? Like say you were to say, you had a comment that Disney was evil for small children, and you use like the Disney Mickey Mouse image, and you had him like Hitlerized or something, with small children crying underneath him.
There's a real possibility that you could do that. The only problem with copyright law is that it is very grey, and so those things might be legal, but you won't normally know until you've actually gone to court, until somebody sued you, and then the judge will decide whether or not it's legal. And so you have to make risk management decisions all the time. Do I think it's likely to be legal? Do I think anybody's likely to sue me? Just so you know, Disney is very, very, very litigious. They will sue you. And they will sue you even if they don't have the right to sometimes. I mean, sorry, I don't mean that in a bad way, but they'll sue you even if it is a fair dealing to get the court case. Like, they'll take it to a court case and make the judge decide, even if you think it's pretty fair. Parody and satire is the big one that, I actually suspect that would probably come under satire more than criticism and review. You'd say, I'm satirising the Disney image. I'm criticising their image in a public forum, that kind of thing.
There is actually a statement in the scene film, television and new media syllabus, which says that you can appropriate materials, so long as you don't infringe copyright. So the whole implication being that within the classroom context, you might have students doing all sorts of things with all sorts of materials. And that's perfectly legal because you're doing it, within a school setting. But you just can't send that stuff out to competitions.
What if it was an inner-school competition?
No, actually, that probably goes. Classroom usage is pretty narrow, but that one might be covered by research and study fair dealing, as long as it's you're the one making the artwork and it's only one artwork. Like, so research and study might let you do that for a school competition. That's probably fine. You're doing it as part of your research and your study. So that'd probably let you do that, but it would have to be like a solid artwork that you hang on a wall, as opposed to something you put up on a website that's going to be copied a million times. That one probably is less likely to be covered by research and study. Though it could still. I want to write a big master's paper about why research and study should extend to putting things on websites nowadays. PhDs, if you write a PhD for QUT, they will make you clear every single quote in that before they will put it up onto the website. It's actually compulsory for you to put your PhD up onto the QUT ePrints repository, but at the same time, you either have to take things out or you have to clear them before they'll let you put it up, because they're just not sure. That's probably research and study. I think that should be really should be a fair dealing. It's a PhD. It's really obvious, but they're just not sure, so they're taking a risk-averse approach. It's hard. That's why Creative Commons rocks. It won't answer all your questions, but it gives you a lot more freedom to do whatever you want without having to think about it a lot of the time. Obviously, the Disney thing probably wouldn't work so well with Creative Commons. So it's harder for criticism and stuff. So yeah, so you can either go to the Creative Commons website and search for things. You can search for in Google Advanced and Yahoo. In Google Advanced, there's a thing that says search by license, and that is using the Creative Commons metadata, so you can use Google to find things. Or you can go to specific websites like Freesound and stuff that you already know are good. Creative Commons website obviously has a massive list of websites that have stuff like this on it. So, you can, all that kind of thing. We'll just do the things to think about because we've talked about everything else. So we've already talked about, making sure that you're following the right license. You can always ask for X permission if you need. You can always ask for permission, even outside the Creative Commons world. Whether or not you get it is a question, but you can always ask. Do you need any other rights? Creative Commons only covers copyright. If you want to put images of your kids, for instance, up onto a website and stuff like that, you'll certainly come up against school policy, and you might even come in some of the states up against legal privacy issues and things like that. So you have to be aware there might still be privacy laws, there might still be other, trademark laws and things like that. Like the Disney stuff would also be an infringement of trademarks, and it doesn't necessarily have the same exceptions to let you do it. So you have to be aware there are other rights. But most of the time, if you got the copyright cleared, you're fine. Most of the time you'll be right. Make sure your use isn't derogatory. Moral rights are maintained, so you still have to attribute and you still have to, be nice to the work. The big example of what might be derogatory, it's not used very often at all. There's only been like 1 or 2 court cases in Australia, but a good example is Aboriginal artwork being put on toilet paper. That is probably a derogatory treatment. There you go. And not just Aboriginal artwork, sort of anything else being put on toilet paper and stuff like that might be bad.